Sorry for testing. Let's get back to business. What's the difference between Du Bois and Booker T. Washington?
Booker T, he thought that every black person should pick a trade, learn a trade, so that makes them invaluable. And then W.
They're like, hold on, you're the professor right now, so let them take the notes.
What you say?
Every black person should pick a trade or learn a trade.
I didn't hear it come on.
Trade.
Booker T felt like everybody should pick a trade, so that makes them valuable, no matter what.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Everybody should find a trade. Essentially, what Booker T. Washington believed is that as black people, we needed to make ourselves invaluable. And that the way in our country to make ourselves invaluable is to keep it. Oh my God.
I ain't answering that.
Seriously.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on a second.
She's left already.
Leave that off the hook or something. All right. Booker T. Washington believed that in our country, in order for us to have value, our value was connected to our labor. And at the time that he was talking about that is literally in the late 1800s into the beginning of the 1900s. So we were still highly agrarian, meaning that we were farmers. But we were also moving into cities. And what he felt like is if we could dominate certain fields, certain professions, it would give us a foothold, one, economically, and two, like for instance, if you learned a trade like plumbing or electrical or building, those things are never going out of fashion. I don't care what year we're in, people are always going to need the toilets fixed, they're always going to need the lights on. Those are things that never go away. That's still true today, right? And he said if you had that skill, exactly, they can't take that away from you, right? Because people are always going to need it. And it doesn't matter what race you are. I don't care if you're filthy rich. If your toilet clogs, you're calling a plumber, right? You always have a job. So that was Washington's take. Focus on learning skills that are indelible. And all I mean by indelible is they're always there. We always need them. On the flip side, completely on the flip side, 180 degrees opposite of him is W.B. Du Bois. He said we focus on the talented 10. Which, if you think about our school in terms of like the AP, you guys would be the talented 10, right? And somebody tell me, what does he mean by that, the talented 10? Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
Let us do all the hard work and then, like, give back.
Exactly. So you identify that 10% of the population, in our case the black population, that are the best, that are the brightest, that are the most driven. You put all your resources as a community into this, let's say this group, right, the AP group. Put all your resources here, which will allow you to meet your most potential. And then once you do, you guys have the responsibility then of reaching back and trying to pull up the other 90%. Which of those two do you think is the most, in your mind, the most effective strategy? Focusing on skills, on labor, having skill set that can never go away, or focusing on that 10% that has the enormous potential, right? The next, like, Obamas or the next Oprahs or the next Commons or the next whomever, you focus on that. Which of those two do you think is the best strategy to help us today? Yeah, go ahead. Booker T, tell me what.
Because his is like way better. Because as we see today, like some people get on top and they don't look to help out their brothers or sisters. Like, you know, they selfish. We got selfish people. Instead of everybody learning their own set or skill, we all be on our stuff. We all be on our ground. We got to depend on one another.
Yep, I got you. So we don't need other people.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Tyrone, what do you think?
I agree with Keith because with Booker T idea, it's like everybody has their own job that they gotta do, no matter what. But with Du Bois idea, it's basically like you waiting on the next person to come help you, and if they don't come help you, then you stuck on your own. You still being more lazy than what you was already.
Lazy than you were. Go ahead.
Looking at Booker T, like in today's perspective, we all up in like working on different skills or whatever. We got the potential to like overturn society and make it like how we want it. We can fit in them politician roles.
Okay.
All that with his method.
Okay. Anybody else? One more person. Tell me. Pull a stick.
You gonna pull mine?
Julie, which one of those two, in our day and age, which one of those two do you think would you subscribe to, that you would encourage people to follow? Booker T. Washington and the labor, or W.B. Du Bois focusing on that talented 10?
Washington.
Tell me why.
Because I know that that's everybody for themselves. That's everybody for themselves, right?
Basically.
Right. So I feel like we ain't never gonna get to the point where other people gonna help each other out. So I feel like everybody get their own little
Okay.
thing.
Thank you for that. I wanna dovetail on the last part of what he said and just ask this, and then we're gonna move on. Do you think we're ever, because the last part of what he said is that we're never gonna get to a point in which we're unified. Do you agree with that, in terms of like a black community?
Well, I'm living now.
In your lifetime, you don't think we'll ever be unified? Shinobi, what do you think?
I would say no too, because I think about the concept of if everybody winning, like, what's the word comes to?
Okay.
There is no top if everybody is, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like if we're all progressing, there is no top and there's no bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. We about to say, what are you gonna say?
Well, in the black community, it's more like a have and a them. It's like we always trying to pull each other down to get on top. So if like that cycle is just gonna continue, I feel like.
So you ascribe to Booker T as well?
Yeah.
It's interesting that, first of all, that's all very fascinating to me because Booker T. Washington really went out of favor at one point where people did not like him at all, in fact called him an Uncle Tom. So it's interesting that like 100 years later, 100 years on, we're like endorsing him. So we'll come back to that, you don't have to know now. Put that aside for right now. What I'm passing out are chunked passages from The Invisible Man, Chapter 6, and you should all have a book, so if you have it, you should take it out. And I just want to do them one at a time because we might not get to all three. All right, can somebody just read the directions at the top? Not the first like section, but just that the top part that explains what's happening.
In your individual table,
Go
read
ahead.
the setup and the follow-up questions. Turn to the page numbers in the novel and read a bit of the larger passages as a group, then discuss the questions as a group. Each member of the group should write down her or his individual responses and come back together to share responses whole group.
Thank you very much. So you're working at the table. You're going to read the question together. You're going to turn to the passage. I've given you the page number, so you can identify it. Do that any way you want. You can read the little passage like in larger context out loud to each other. You can read it individually, and then you're going to come back together, have a little conversation, and then write your individual responses. You're going to have 6 minutes to do it. I'm going to set the clock for that. I'll drift around the room and sit with you and see where you're going. But the first one, somebody read that for me before we get started. We're just going to do them one at a time. So somebody read that first one for me. Anybody?
Me.
Thank you. Nice and loud.
What's his
Dr.
name?
Bledsoe.
Dr. Bledsoe says to Iam, why the dumbest black bastard in a cotton patch knows the only way to please a white man is to tell him a lie.
And then what are the questions?
What do you make of this claim by Dr. Boyce Benson? Do white people in general want to know the truth of black lives? Does anyone really want to know the truth about others? Does truth matter? Why or not?
All right. 6 minutes. I'll start the clock. And we're starting now.
So you want us to
You're going to talk with the person? You're going to answer.
today or with you?
Thank you very much.
They have my name in the book.
Great, making the claim that what he says about yeah,
You want us to answer based on what's happening in today?
both. But these questions are going to be about today.
Okay.
But that's a good question. Zenobia just asked me, when you get to the actual questions, are you thinking only about the book or are you thinking about today? Both. Okay.
Alright, so I'm giving you one. Alright.
So are you guys reading the passages individually?
Why did you You're black and living in the South. Did you forget how to lie, sir? Lie to him? Lie to a trustee? Sir? Me? He shook his head with a kind of anguish. And me thinking I'd be a boy with brain, he said, Didn't you know you were endangering the school? But I was only trying to please him. Please him? And here you are, a junior in college. Why? The dumbest black bastard in the complex knows that the only way to please a white man is to tell him a lie. What kind of education are you getting around here? Who really told you to take him out of there, he said. He did, sir. No one else. Don't lie to me. That's the truth, sir. I warn you now. Who suggested it? I swear, sir, no one told me. Nigga, this isn't the time to lie. I'm no white man.
Be a break, wait.
Tell me the truth. It was as though he struck me. I started across the desk thinking, he called me that. Answer me, boy. That I thought, noticing the throbbing of a vein that rose between his eyes, thinking, he called me that. I wouldn't lie, sir, I said. Then who was the patient you were talking to?
You can pretty much stop there because it goes on to the next question. So you get a context, a mini context of where that quote comes from. So the first thing is, what do you make of this claim by Bledsoe? Do you buy this notion that everybody knows as a black person that the best way, the Cotton Packs knows that the only way to please a white man is to tell him a lie? Is that true? Was that true back in the day that this is being written, which would be like the 1930s or so? And is it true today for us in 2018?
Tell them what they want to hear.
No one likes a liar.
No one likes a lie?
Yeah, you tell a white man what they
Do we
want.
really? Because one of the follow-up questions is, do we as people, do we like the truth? Because you say nobody likes a liar, but do we like the truth too? You do?
Some people can't handle it.
So what do you say? Some people can't handle it?
Yeah.
So then how do we balance it? Like if on the one hand we don't like a liar, but on the other hand, some people don't like the truth.
Change the way it's presented.
I don't know. You have to tell me that. Do you buy this notion though that white people back in the day and maybe today, that what they really want is not to actually know what our lives are like. They want us to sugarcoat things and show them and present them what they want to believe is true about our experience. What do you make of that?
Well, I agree with that back then, but today I'm not so sure.
Okay.
Well, with cops, probably.
With cops, you say? Yeah. That's interesting. All right. Daisha, what are you thinking?
I feel like today, not. I feel like, yeah, it does in terms of like getting jobs. Like, whereas like you wouldn't want to present yourself as something that doesn't look good. Like, say if you come from a bad type of history, like you were a felon or something like that, you wouldn't want to tell them that. So you would technically lie about what you've been through or your past or anything that you felt like they shouldn't know.
Okay. So does the veil come into play at all? Like in what we're talking about? Like, is part of this about the veil? Like, as like we could come up with our own definition of the veil, that somehow the veil is like we're protecting ourselves from the other side?
Maybe you can use the veil as a term of like maybe like you're covering like anything that you need to be hidden to make yourself look good. Or either you can use the veil as like protecting yourself from racism or either discrimination.
Okay. And as you were speaking, and it popped in my head actually, Bravon, at first when you said it, I was thinking that it's almost like code switching.
Right.
Almost that somehow, like I hadn't thought about it really, but somehow that like the veil is connected to the code switching, and that somehow that's connected to this idea of like, do we tell the truth or do we lie? I don't know. Anyway, keep talking, and then write down your own individual answers to that. All right, where are you guys at? You moved on. All right, what did you guys come up with for that first one about? Do you agree or disagree with this notion of you gotta lie? That what people actually want is a lie. Specifically, white people from black people, but just in general. What did you come up with?
Honestly, I feel that this is true because white people couldn't accept the fact that black people have more power than they really think. They don't say I think they would listen to the truth, but they wouldn't accept the truth, and it would cause a contradiction with the history.
Okay. Do you think back in the day, so like let's say 1930s or 40s when the book is set, that what white people actually wanted was not to know the truth about us as black people?
Yeah.
Black people, do you think they want to know the truth today?
Well, we didn't disagree, but we had different answers, but we understood.
Okay, what was the position?
Okay, so I said I agree with Bledsoe because they would want to know, like, they wouldn't want to know the truth. Well, they would want to feel like superior or needed, so they would want like that parental feeling over them. So they
paternalism.
Yeah, so they would want them to lie. So it'll be like feeding off their superiority complex that they feel needed. So it'll just be like.
Can we start there? Can we start there? Okay. All right. That was the 6 minutes. I will make it to other groups hopefully for the second question. But I'm gonna your attention up front, please. Thank you. I'm gonna start at this front table because I heard some interesting things at both tables, but I don't want to start there because that's just where I'm like standing at the second. But that first one, can I see? All right, paper, please. It's about that quote about lying. About whether or not, back in the day, at the time that the book is set, which is roughly the 30s and 40s in America, whether or not what white people wanted was not to know the truth of us as black people, but to know something else, something maybe a picture that's more in line with what they want to believe about us. And I want to know your perspective on that. Do you buy that? Is that true? Was that true back in the day? And is it true in 2018? And so I like sort of stopped at this table, was asking them what they were already writing, and I just want to know their opinion. So, Snowy, what did you write down for that, if you don't mind sharing?
I said that I believe that they would, like in today's world, they would want to know the truth, but they wouldn't care.
So they want to know the truth, but they don't care.
Yes, so they don't care about the truth because in all actuality, like, unfortunately, they are superior in the world. But I feel like they would use the truth.
Wait, they are superior or they're viewed as superior?
They're viewed as
okay,
superior.
right.
No, they are.
Okay, explain that then.
As far as like the government and Congress and most of the people that are on top, that are like running things are. But I said that because if they know the truth, they can use it. I was basically saying like they can use it against them. Like they know our strengths, our weaknesses, they know what we fight for, they know what we want. So we gonna put this in this. We know what y'all want, so now we gonna use it so that we can be better than you are, so that we can stay on.
Okay. And then Mariah, I think you had maybe not quite the same take on that. What did you say?
I said I agree with Bledsoe because they don't want to know the truth. They want to have a feeling of superiority or the feeling that they're needed within the black community. So they want you to lie to get them to, it'll feed their superiority complex that has developed since like the slavery.
Okay, all right. One of the final questions in terms of the list of questions that you were given to respond to is whether or not people in general want to know the truth about anybody else to begin with. What do you think about that? And that's like a contemporary question. Do you really want to know somebody else's truth?
No.
Tell me, you say that very forcefully. Tell me why.
Not me, but I feel like others wouldn't care enough.
Okay.
And also, somebody else's truth might make you mad. Make you feel some type of way or look at them different.
I can't snap, so I am snapping. You cannot hear me, but I promise you it's snap. Yes, respond to that. Or your own response.
What you don't know, damn hurt.
So we don't. So you believe? How many people believe that? By the way, that saying, it's an old adage, right? What you don't know won't hurt you. So it's better. So would you say, just to like dovetail on that? Would you say it's better to lie rather than tell people? Shh.
I mean, it all depends on like who you're talking to. Like, it depends on the circumstance. So if you in like a job interview or something, it's better to lie. But if you talking to your friend or something, what am I lying for? Like,
Okay.
It's all depends on the setting of what you're doing.
Okay. So go ahead, Keith, and then I'll ask my question.
I agree with him. I don't got no examples, but it depends on like who the person I'm asking the truth from. So that's how I feel about the situation.
Okay. Would you all say that you are truthful in the way that you present yourself, even to your friends? Are you truthful in that?
John? To mostly, I'll say mostly, because I ain't gonna say I'm 100% truthful all the time, cause everybody, lie sometimes. But it's some people that I don't lie to at all, but it's some people that I lie to.
Okay. And so it just depends on the circumstance and how close you are?
Yeah.
All right, Zenobia, what were you going to say?
I think everybody lies to everybody at some point. Like your friends, your parents, your teachers, at work. Because of fear. Like you're scared of what's going to happen if you tell the truth or what the next person will say.
Okay. I posed this question to that first table that I stopped at, and I'm going to pose it whole group. Is there any relationship between the veil and this notion of lying? Is there any connection in the way that you can think about the veil contemporary in our contemporary moment? Is there any relationship between this idea of like not quite telling the truth, exposing your truth, and this idea of having a veil or wearing a veil? Yes, sir.
I say yes, it's some connections due to the definition of it, which is like physical appearance, white's lack of clarity, of saying blacks is not fully American, or whatever, basically. So what else to say? Hold on, repeat the question off of my eyes.
The question is whether or not you see a relationship between the veil and this notion of not quite exposing our truth.
All right. The connection is I see between that was that the definition of the veil and Dr. Bledsoe or whatever, when he said knowing the truth of the black lives, we had said it depends on who the person is because what we think or feel doesn't matter. So just go with the flow. So what do you say? Oh yeah, so seeing us like the whites seeing us like as not like truly American or whatever, like we put ourselves in a position where we gotta act a certain type of way to get to this position. We gotta play our part, play our role. So I feel like, and that's a lie. So I feel all that's connected to each other.
Okay, all right, and you were gonna say something. Ron, you had your hand up.
What he's saying is code switching.
Yes, it's code switching. And like one of the things that I suggested at your table is that maybe there's a relationship between this idea of code switching and the way that
you gotta do certain stuff and act a certain way to get to where you want to go. It's all about connections and networking.
What were you gonna say, Aisha?
I totally agree. So it's just like basically your behavior in school and outside of school. Like you wouldn't want to see your teachers like doing certain things that you do outside of school, like illegal.
Right.
For example, like you wouldn't want them to see that side of you because you're afraid of like how they would feel or like what they perceive of you based on like how you act, and then you will change your whole appearance and your tone and basically like certain actions about you that you do and when you're around them. So basically that is like a term of code switching. So you're covering up certain actions and behavior to make yourself look good or in a different way.
Okay. Somebody read question number 2 so we can move forward. We can at least do the second one before we have to leave. Somebody read number 2.
When I.M. tells Dr. Bledsoe about the black veteran doctor, he and Mr. Norton encountered at the Golden Day. I.M. states that the doctor talked like a white man. Dr. Bledsoe responded that he would have to investigate the man and the a Negro light. That should be under lock and key.
And the questions are?
Why does Dr. Bledsoe see such a Negro as dangerous in need of being under lock and key? What is your opinion on the doctor and things he says to Mr. Norton?
All right, take 5 minutes because this is one that you should be more familiar with. Take 5 minutes, read it in context, talk to your table mates, and give me an answer. I'm going to come right there in the back because that's my most exciting bit. I'm right in the back.
I wanted to read it. You ain't let me read either.
So read the passage in the text out loud so that we can all talk about it. Her book is right in front of me. Oh, no, I won't.
No, don't put okay. It says.
Yeah, read the passage in the text so that you have some context. Yes.
He said that he lives in France.
She just told me to read it.
It's on page 1.
Or you got a visitor.
What right now? What you start?
It says, right.
I don't see what she's doing.
Where it says talk like a white man.
I still don't see what she's talking
Right, what is it?
about. She says it's at the top of 139. Only she talking. Right here?
Isn't it in the middle? Looking at hers. Please him if you are a junior in college.
Oh, right there?
Right, isn't it?
Please him?
Yep.
Please him, and here you are a junior in college. Why the dumbest black bastard in the cotton patch knows that the only way to please a white man is to tell a lie? What kind of education are you getting around here? Who really told you to take him out there? He said, he did, sir, no one else. Don't lie to me. That's the truth, sir. I warn you now who suggested it. I swear, sir, no one told me. Nigger, this isn't the time to lie. I'm no white man. Tell me the truth. It was as tough he struck me. I stared across the desk thinking he called me that. Answer me, boy. That I thought noticing the driving over the veins. Like,
In the context of that, of what he talks about. Exactly. Like that's like this whole notion of like what's white and what isn't white. One has to do with intelligence. It also seems to me. You tell me what you think about this. If I said to you that like part of what that means to like be talking white is that you talk free, what do you think I mean by that? If I said that you talk free. Say that louder.
You got freedom of speech.
You got freedom of speech. It's like the idea is like if you're free, I don't mean like slave, like whether or not you're a slave or post-slavery. What I mean is you have the freedom of thought to express yourself and not worry about that double consciousness of how somebody else is going to see you. Right? Do you like the book? Like in terms of the characters in the book that you met, you meet Bledsoe, you meet Norton, you meet True Blood, you meet I Am, you meet the vet who's supposedly crazy. Do you like out of those characters, who do you like? And why?
Because he kept it blunt with the with Norton, because it's like everyone else tried to lie or change things around to like impress him and get money out of him. Like he was just keeping it honest with him. Like it's like because when he was talking for I Am, he was like it's like you're something to him. He looks up to you, and like he's not your destiny. It's like just stuff like that. You know, he was being honest with him, like let him know like this is that. You're not trying to sugarcoat it. Just like tell you how it is right now. You can listen to it or not.
George, I'm going to say the same question. Out of those characters, who do you like? And you don't have to like any of them, but if you like one, who would it be? And tell me why.
Because at first he was quiet as we knew, but then overall he started to realize that he mattered too, and he tried to express that to everybody else, even though they won't listen.
Even though they won't listen. All right, I'm curious about how people feel about Bledsoe. Because like he's powerful, he's successful, but is he a likable man?
No.
You said that really clearly. Why? Why not?
Because he always trying to talk down on black people, and he don't really understand, and that's why.
Even though he's black himself.
And he just said that he needs to be under lock and key because he talked like a white man. Like, don't get mad, he's smarter than you.
That just made you mad? Yes. All right, I like that. Thank you guys. All right, I'm going to sneak in on you. What you got?
Okay. So I said, he thinks the Negroes are because of his actions and the way he talks. I ain't finished, but I said he is somewhat sneaky he thinks he's somewhat sneaky in the way he feels as if he's gonna ruin whatever he's gonna bring down whatever they're gonna earn or tear down something that they already built. Like when they built a little building for the institution, he thinks that one person has the ability is half of an hour to ruin something that they've been building for over 100 years. So.
Okay. Out of all the characters that we meet so far, it doesn't matter, I'll call it. Thank you. Out of all the characters that you meet so far in the text, Dr. Bledsoe, True Blood, Mr. Norton, the Invisible Man, and that. Do you like any of them? Like in terms of character, do you like any of them?
Mr. Norton. I like the vet.
I'm gonna come back to that.
I like the vet because I feel like he know what's going on. Like
Even though he's crazy?
Yeah, even though he's kind of crazy, but he knows what's going on. He recognizes the truth.
Okay. I'm curious why you say Mr. Norton.
Because when he was I read the book already.
Yeah, we're through 6. So Mr. Norton is the the founder that he drives around and takes.
When I think y'all read, but when he was so he was going to get expelled because of the incident, and Mr. Norton talked to Mr. Bledsoe and was telling him how the IM didn't do anything wrong and he shouldn't be expelled.
So the fact that he stood up for the IM is why you like it. All right. What about you? Do you like any of them?
I like the Dr. Internet because I feel like they just speak their mind and the truth about white people and black people at the same time. Like they
I'm interested. So you like Bledsoe too? Bledsoe's an interesting character. But they haven't read as far as you, so that's not fair. All right, let's get back together so that we don't run out of time. And I want to just talk a little bit about that second.
Let me go first.
Okay, hold on a second. That table in the back, you're killing me, seriously. Thank you. That second question asks you about this notion of talking like a white man. And then Bledsoe says, by the way, Bledsoe, of course, is the founder, right? One of the founders. He's now the leader of the school that the Invisible Man is at. Ultimately winds up expelling IM. But he says, Dr. Bledsoe responds that he will have to investigate the man, that is the vet. And a Negro like that, this is a black man saying this about another black man, by the way. Dr. Bledsoe responds that a Negro like that, like the vet, should be under lock and key. How did you respond to that, John?
Wait, Dr. Bledsoe, a black doctor?
He's a black man.
I don't even want to say my response no more.
Okay, well tell me what did you respond and tell me now why it's negated.
I thought Dr. Bledsoe was
Hold on a second. I need to hear him. So I don't actually care if the table in back wants to hear it. I do. So please be quiet. Go ahead.
I thought Dr. Bledsoe was a white doctor. So I said, Dr. Bledsoe sees a Negro, the vet, as dangerous because he a black man in the same position as him. And during this time, black people were so underestimated and thought to be inferior. So when Dr. Bledsoe seen somebody in the same field of workforce as him and he taught white, he viewed him as a threat. So now he wanted to investigate him to see how he got to this point.
Okay, and that's a great answer. And now that you know that Bledsoe's black, how does that change it for you?
It changed it all the way. Cause like how you gonna look down on your own people?
Right.
Like y'all doing the same thing, y'all the same way. So how you gonna look down on him because of he doing the same thing you doing?
The question you just posed, does it really change your answer? Because maybe he shouldn't, but couldn't that black doctor also, I think the last thing that you wrote was like that he felt threatened?
Yeah.
Isn't it possible for him to feel, like as a black person, to feel threatened by another black person?
He probably feel like,
Go ahead.
Dr. Bledsoe probably feel like he is white. So
What do you mean by that?
Alright, so like, if he's saying like, if they both supposed to be black, right, and he's talking about, I view him as a threat, he probably feel like himself in that position that he in, he is white. So that's why he like, damn, this is dangerous. Like, how is he in the same position as me, basically? But my response to it was, he sees that as dangerous because basically he's looking at him like, how is he in the same position as me and he black? And how does this happen? This particular Negro is dangerous. He's powerful. He has the ability to comprehend and enlighten himself. And with that, he can give back to the community and meaning teaching and voicing his knowledge. The knowledge and smart that at the time, he had no type of business even knowing, so therefore he's dangerous.
Okay, and both of your responses made me think of you and what you said at the very beginning of class about the crabs and the bear. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
My response is way different from theirs.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, I thought he wants to shut the vet up because he's exposing the fact that blacks can't protect. Because you know that in the beginning, like towards the beginning of the book, they wanted to keep like the white people thinking that blacks were like yes men. It's like, oh, we're the good boys, right?
Right.
But they were still like themselves underneath that. So I feel like he wanted him to know how to code switch when talking to a white person. So it wouldn't be like exposing everything that he's built, because he's smart, he's Dr. Bledsoe.
Okay.
And he had to be a yes man to get to that position, right?
Right, which he
So he doesn't want the white people to know that he is like intelligent, that he can be powerful.
Okay, so you're saying that like he's worried about like it's not just his legacy; it's for all black people. That there are certain things you just don't expose and put out there and let the other side know. Okay, all right. Yeah, what you got, man? And then you can respond to that.
I got a question. Was it simpler to earn your PhD back in the 1900s?
Simpler? No, I mean it was still the same process. Why did he say that? Why did he ask?
Because a black man, a doctor in the 1900s.
Yeah.
I would thought one white person would have took his power away from him.
Okay, all right, and that's interesting too. Keith, you wanted to respond to that.
Yeah, I was trying to understand like where he was coming from with that. Like, how it's like different from all of this.
No, because you're saying that he's putting him down. And I don't think he's putting him down. I think he's trying to keep it under wraps that black people can be intelligent.
Right.
So it's like separating what the whites see and what the black people know that they are. So he wants to separate that.
Aisha, what do you want to say? Hold on a second, because I think she's jumping in there.
I'm sorry. So for my one group said that since that he has the ability to code switch and to talk proper as a white person, that maybe they should keep a close eye out for him because he could be like considered as like a threat. But now
A threat to blacks or a threat to whites?
I guess you could say both, but now that what I've heard when Mariah said, I guess you can say that because like it can refer back to like Negro experiences how like black savages develop their own hidden language. So I guess that's their way.
Keep this one. Keep this sheet, the one that has the chunked part, but I need your bell ringing.